although I've reason to believe that they've been tracking me, as in the UFOs that came over the house probably since 1970. But in 1972, I had my first experience where we saw two individuals walk through a wall at the age of 2. I recently, a few years back, appeared on an ITV program, and there was a guy there called Dr. Chris French who said that this was all made up. This was all made up. But that's what happened to me. That was my first experience, and I remember screaming at my father. I have a very vivid memory of screaming at my father. I can see it now, and trying, because I couldn't talk. I was only 2. I was had difficulty talking, so I remember, screaming at him and trying to point out to him that there was 2 people who had walked through the wall. And I remember him putting me in my cot and telling me that nothing had happened. And then all through my life, up until probably the age of 10, 11, 12, 13 years of age, when I had a dabble with the occult and all that kind of thing, I was having strange dreams and strange events that were happening. Nothing really of any magnitude until about 1990-ish, where we had a situation occur where a UFO actually came in over the roof of my house for a few seconds. It was about 5 to 10 seconds in duration, like something out of Close Encounters. It was there, it was gone, and it left me wandering around in a daze for a number of days. I was just wondering what the hell it was, and little would I know that hurtling further down the line, 10, 15, 14 years ahead, all hell would be coming my way. I would go to the gates and have hell and back with all this. In order to, similar to the movie, I think, in The Matrix, where he swallows a red pill and he swallows the blue pill, somebody gave me a red pill, and it's taken me 14 years to suss out why I was targeted. It's taken me 14 years to understand the dynamics of why I was targeted, who these people were, the fact that these people were part of a party and that there were a number of parties involved in what appeared to be a covert operation going on around me to do with UFOs, unbeknown to me. But I wasn't meant to twig. I wasn't meant to suss it out. But I was. Somebody was guiding me every step of the way. And, that's it. That's what happened. I think Michael's gone off air. Can anybody else hear me, I wonder? Is everything all right?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, Julia. So, that's what happened to me, basically, in a nutshell. And I was... it was unbelievable. It really was what happened to me, and I kind of then began to be. I went to high school, and nothing much happened at high school. I was severely bullied at high school when I went to the high school. It was horrendous. I had a horrendous childhood, and my father was potently psychic, potently so. So the psychic phenomena thing ran in my family very much so. My father was potently psychic. And there was some strange goings on with him as well. He was approached by the KGB in the 1950s when he served in Vienna in Austria, which I found very odd. And the relationship with my father was not a good one either. But he was potently psychic. He could heal neuralgia. I've seen it. I see him bring a cat back from the dead, heal somebody of a heart attack. He had healing hands. He was very powerful. And in fact, if I was naughty as a child, he didn't need to smack me. He'd just spark me out on the bed with a headache, which a lot of people, when I'm at conferences and I say this, and I don't know what you guys think as presenters, a lot of people find that very cruel that he would do that, but he was capable of doing so. He was capable of knocking me out on the bed with a thumping headache when I was 8 or 9 years old. He could do that quite easily. He didn't need to smack me in any way, Yeah, so the relationship with my father was a deeply troubling and puzzling one, and one of regrets, really, really, really. And the tragedy that would unfold in the years ahead with my targeting and harassment makes me wonder, and it really does make me wonder whether they were targeting him as well. I have to reach that conclusion that there's a distinct possibility that the same people who were harassing me may have been also doing something to him, but we can't prove it because they work in the area of the unprovable. They work in the area of covertness and shadow. They work in the area of I'm the lunatic. They work and that works very well for them. To label some of the opinion police, to label somebody as insane and bonkers, that works really well as good cover for them, as you guys probably well know. Yeah, so that's kind of like, in a nutshell, the childhood elements of it. And then it then thundered onto me moving to London. I got a place at stage school, and I managed to. The stage school was really competitive because there was about 20 places and nearly 2,000 applicants for a place at London Stage School that I went to. I had my heart set on being an actor. My father at the time just thought it was one big joke, which I've never quite forgiven him for. He just feigned disinterest at me, nothing really much happened on the UFO front. Nothing really much, as you can see, is going on, really. There's no interactions happening at the moment with the UFOs at that point when I went to drama school in 91. But it was probably in about 93 in Parade Street, Paddington, where I saw my first UFO. And it looked as if it was going to crash into a tower block. It was a dot of light. Little would I know that in the years ahead I would see them. I would see these dots of light, what they really were. In fact, this year, when I awoke, I call it my awakening this year, 2014. It's an awakening for me, where I awake to what was actually going on around me. But I've seen these dots of light in real time in the daylight. What they look like is quite odd, but that's another story, which I'll come to later. But basically, in Parade Street, Paddington, in the 90s was my first UFO incident, and I was next to a fire engine. And I remember I was about to run over to this London Fire Brigade fire engine and say, "Look at that! It's about to crash into a block of flats." But before I could do that, it completely vanished. And I'm thinking, oh. And then I started having these odd dreams in London, and then I started being followed by these dots of light everywhere. It was just so bizarre. In fact, the situation, if we were to humour it, is similar to have you heard of the wacky races? Guys, the cartoon. This is a covert version of the wacky races. If we were to put a very dark humour to it, it really, really is. So what we've got is the scenario of me living in London and having these strange goings on that I cannot understand, and having the strange dreams and the strange goings on. I just cannot understand any of it at all. And then it then starts to escalate, where I returned to London I fell on hard times, really, in London, and I remember moving back to Yorkshire. I had to move back to Yorkshire, and it was in 1999 where it really, really started. And it's from that point, from 1999 to 2014, in the past months now, I think probably things started to awaken in April, and this may sound so surreal with you guys, or it might not, I don't know, where one of these groups that is extraterrestrial, and I won't even call them alien, I'll call them people like us. That's the biggest secret about it. They're people like us. Stepped in and played their hand in this very big card game and said, yes, here we are. And what is odd, what is absolutely darkly comical about all this is that all this is being played out behind the scenes, and the public are oblivious to it. And it's my experiences are kind of like the real-time world of UFOs and what goes on, and the fact that governments are aware of them, and some governments, even the US government, is possibly speaking to them. Just going back, though, however, to 1999, the UFO in particular, a UFO came in over my house. I dreamt about it 2 weeks before. I'm repeatedly dreaming now, just recently, I'm dreaming about one I'm going to film again, which is a big triangular thing, but recently, that was recent, but in 1999, this UFO came in over my house, illuminated a TV antenna, literally illuminated it twice, and then flew off. And this was all part of a great big game that I have got embroiled with, that I didn't quite know what it's all about, so it began.
When you said it illuminated your antenna, what do you mean? It lit it up, or? Yeah,
it did. Sorry, it illuminated. It's a well-known clip, actually. I'm a contributor to UK media here in the UK, so it's a well-known clip of a UFO illuminating a TV antenna. And what it does is it kind of like rotates around the estate. It rotates around a block of houses, and it literally singles out a television antenna and illuminates it, it makes it glow white twice. So the antenna glows white. We tried to simulate that with torches. We tried to simulate it with car headlights. We couldn't get the same effect. It was quite apparent that this UFO was illuminating the TV antenna, and the footage went for image analysis with a special effects director who declared that it was indeed a UFO.
Wow.
What is also extremely disturbing about that is the fact that a covert group of individuals was aware before I was that these things were watching me. They were aware, and so began up until, well, no, it's really up until the present day, 14 years of hell, I would describe it. And 5 years of hell at the hands of various intelligence agencies, including a British covert group who stalked me, used mind control on me, quite typical for them. I was doing 72 hours a week shift work. It was quite typical for them to wake me up on a morning, on the hour, 5:45, with an alarm clock ringing in my head. But to all intents and purposes, with the mainstream opinion police, I'm the loon. I'm the guy who's got the tinfoil hat on the head, but I've not the technologies there to do it. They had the delivery system to do it, and I know that at 5:45 every morning on the hour they were waking me up for work with alarm clocks ringing in my head, gunfire going off 3 at 4 in the morning, prevention of sleep. And so with targeted individuals like myself, exhaustion stalks me, life expectancy is probably dramatically shortened now, and this is the real world of those of us who dare to be in contact with those off-world, those people that are off-world. And my government, elements of my government, know that this has been going on. They know that the technology was deployed on me. It was deployed for a number of years on me and made my life a living hell. And to cut a long story short, I was stalked at the recent TV programme that's going to be broadcast in the UK on Channel 4. I take the broadcaster, the television crew, through the steps of me being covertly stalked. Well, I was they were overtly stalking me as well as covertly stalking me. And that was down to a group of individuals who are aware and still are aware of my experiences. And what is even disturbing about that is the fact that they are aware of my experiences. So here's me, it's taken me 14 years to work it out, but they probably already know. And that's a very sinister, they're a very sinister group of individuals. I found that they were stalking me, they were leaving answering machine messages. A popular thing they used to do is when I walked out of the local supermarket, there'd be an answering machine message saying that I'd walked out of the local supermarket, as if they were sat in a car making comments on that. And this dragged on and on. Little would I know, it's similar to the wacky races, but little would I know that something rather spectacular would happen in April 2014 that has no doubt in my mind that there is something going on with these things that are off-world coming in. And it's like a giant game. And as I say, I was involved in a covert operation. I kept journals from about 2001 till about 2009, which are going to be published in a book. And I kept them on my shelf for nearly 5 years with all this. I just kept it on my shelf for nearly 5 years and didn't do anything with them because I couldn't understand what was happening. And it's only recently, this year, that I've read through them to actually discover that, yes, every entry that I've made, it involves me being involved in somebody else's game. And these UFOs, these people, are actually speaking to a third party of individuals who remain mysterious and are using me as some kind of interface network, which is very clever. And not only are they doing that, but they're also speaking to me as well. And not only that, but these journals seem to predict events that are happening now to me back in 2003. There's entries in 2003 that are coming now into formation, because the elephant in the room with the UFO stuff is time travel related, and that's an elephant in the room with anything that's written about UFOs. So this seems to be what's happening. So we've got me having these strange goings on, being stalked. I mean, one of the things they do, Michael, is this hard for you to comprehend, and just brace yourself for this, is that they'd wake me up with gunfire and defecation effects as if I'd urinated the bed.
Oh, man.
Kind of thing. Oh, they tortured me. They tortured me for 5 years. They tortured me to these individuals for 5 years with some very advanced covert technology, and they wanted me to shut up in no uncertain terms about, hence me saying at the beginning, Michael, what you were reading out, this is the extreme level of what they term the silence. They are the police of the silence, little knowing little knowing these individuals, this I find darkly comical. They have no idea, it appears, what they were dealing with me. They had they're doing all this torture and they're giving the appearance of being the mighty enforcers of silence, but they obviously have no idea what they themselves have got themselves into, because the people in these UFOs, their technologies is up to 3 centuries ahead of us, 3 centuries ahead of the human race. One group in particular. So I'll go into this. So, that's an estimate, So that is really, in a nutshell, I suppose, a very condensed version of what's happened to me, which really, I hope, wasn't too waffly or wasn't too shallow in the way I explain it. But that's basically it. And the nefarious continues to stalk me. It's been hellish. This past couple of weeks has been hellish with it all. It's not very pleasant. It really, really is not very pleasant. And for some reason, it is to do with events concerning the human race and the direction we are going down. As a race of individuals, it definitely is to do with all that with them. Certainly is.
We're going to take a short break right now, and when we return, I want to continue talking about this, but I also want you, Tony, to go back to the earlier part of the 2000s and kind of build us up to what's going on, because I know that what's going on now is probably the pièce de résistance for them. So let's see if we can build that up for our people out there.